Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I'm going to be talking a little bit about ROCD because it's something that gets talked about hugely in the groups, and I never really, I cover it a reasonable amount, but I never really cover it as much as I want to cover it. So I'm going to be covering ROCD, and I'm going to be talking about the OCD recovery journey in a bit of detail. And I'm going to be talking about relapses and what happens in relapses. So, first of all, let's look at ROCD. ROCD, what normally happens is somebody falls in love and they feel an amazing feeling, and then they think, shit, I would hate to live my life without that feeling. I love that feeling and I want it in my life now. I don't not want that feeling in my life anymore. And that's where it mainly starts. So that's the first point. Second part is then they feel that feeling, and then they think, oh, this is the chemical feeling they feel in the brain. They say, oh, this is the one. This is something I can't let go of under any cost. Whereas actually, there is no the one. If there was the one, none of our parents would have ever had us, because the chances of our parents ever coming together, if there was only one person to meet, would be very, very remote. So what happens is it's mainly the feelings of when you like somebody and you really like someone and not wanting to lose it. And then it becomes exaggerated, where we go, oh, this is my whole life. This is everything in my life. Without this, I can't even live. Life is pointless. Where we take the exaggerated form, as we see in Hollywood movies and we've seen in books and music and songs for many, many years. It's to do with an exaggeration. And then the more exaggerated form we see in the movies is where someone says, oh, I'm going to kill myself if I can't have the love for that person. Now, all of this comes down to a realization that love is an important part of our life. Okay, it's something that we strive for. But it's not our whole life. Our lives have so many enjoyable things. And the problem is, what we do is we think that we exaggerate it, like the Hollywood film. And we say to ourselves that it's got to be how we want it to be. We need to be passionately in love with them all the time, enjoying life. And that's not how relationships go. Love waxes and wanes. It moves around. Couple who've been married for 30 years aren't feeling ecstatically head over heels in love. Albert Ellis put it in a quote saying that, love is more about the art of persistence. It's something that we practice. It's something that we do. So we don't need to keep internally chasing, because then the feelings are going to disappear. So it's very important that we acknowledge that, love is something that we want and it's something that we work for. However, it's not something that when our life has not got it, that life is over and ruined. That's certainly not the case. Life has incredible things happening all the time. For example, you may go and play a sport, you may go and enjoy some food, you may go and have a few beers with friends. You're going to enjoy that. You're not going to need your partner with you the whole time, because you enjoy that separately. And that's a clear demonstration that in life we can enjoy life regardless of them being there. So that's an important thing to notice. It's the same with all OCD fears. It's learning to rationally see that it's not the exaggerated form that we think it is, that it's actually not as frightening as we think it is. Now, the other thing with ROCD is the constant internal chasing. People chase all the time. Am I in love with him? Internally viewing every feeling. Am I in love with them? How in love with them am I? How do I feel right now? How sexually attracted to them am I? Whilst having sex, how turned on am I? Then if they're not turned on, why am I not turned on? Is this a sign I've got to break up? Then when they're having dinner with them, do I love them? Am I in love with them? Do I fancy the waiter? Do I fancy my friend? What if I fancy them more? Every single thing to pull you away from the thing that you want most, which is the relationship. That is what you want. Okay, so that's an important thing to note in ROCD. internal chasing. You don't have to be anxious. You can just feel, it's not a thing where you'll notice yourself looking. It can be very subtle, the same as when we're trying to chase going to sleep. We can just be lying there and the person can frantically be saying to the person who's treating them for insomnia, I'm not trying to sleep. I am accepting being asleep. I am accepting, I'm accepting. And then it's like, well, you're not accepting, and you can tell by that tone you're not accepting. It's a very subtle chase. In regards to that question, what's the Facebook group called? It's called OCD Recovery Group. So that's what's going on a lot with ROCD. Constant chasing. It's about learning to see that we make our own happiness with or without a relationship. Learning to get content with that. That's the key. Learning to get content that even without a relationship, we are okay. That's cool. But we don't tend to see it like that a lot of the time. We tend to, all of us, people without OCD, oh, if I lose her, my life's rubbish, and before I wasn't happy until I met them, and so on. Yeah, well, before you weren't making your life work for you in terms of happiness, in terms of how happiness is something that we create. So it's about learning to create that on your own. Life today is very much a comfort trap. People spend a large amount of time watching Netflix, striving for comfort, striving for lying in bed, watching films, all this stuff. That is boring after a while. You're not going to look back on life and go, wasn't that amazing? That's striving for comfort. And it's the same with a lot of relationships, is striving for comfort. Life is, there's so many rich things to do in life, so many great things to do. Life is rich, full of opportunities like this. It's not to do with being in a relationship, having money. There's millions of things that you can do that are great enjoyment, but people don't do them. So it's about doing those and seeing and learning. And maybe you like painting, maybe you like traveling, maybe you like anything like that. You when you do it, even if you're in your relationship or you're not, you will learn to see you make your happiness. Exercise is a great example. Go and get massively into the gym, you'll feel great. That's a great one. Well, you won't do if you've got severe anxiety, of course not, but it's an additional benefit. You can create the happiness on your own. If you're relying on somebody for your happiness, they can walk out on you. They can leave you, you can break up. If you're relying on having money for happiness, you could be broke. You can't rely on any external thing for happiness. It's in here which will control how your perception of the external events. That is what is key. If you are trying to achieve happiness by striving towards something that you need to obtain for happiness, that is not going to happen. It is about specifically learning to change your perception in here about the outside events. That is the key to OCD recovery. Learning to see that we do not need the external to change. Learning to see that even if we were in prison serving 25 years, we could still learn to find happiness on our own through other things. That is the key, changing perceptions. And in the recovery journey, what happens is when we have relapses or so on, any of these things happen, it's because something changes our perception back to the old way. We start to believe, say with ROCD, someone stumbles across a blog that says, you will know when you know you're not in love. You must find the one. What if you're in a toxic relationship? All of this nonsense that the rest of the world believes in so much that then you start believing in again yourself. Oh my God, what if I'm in a toxic relationship? Oh my God, what if I need to know if I'm in the right relationship. I need to know right now, but I can't feel that. Oh my God, that's terrible. No. I need to know. You cannot use feelings when it comes to OCD recovery to get that certain. You're not going to be able to do that. So that is not achievable. That's first. Two is that toxic relationships and so on. There's nowhere that says you have to, you must, you should leave a relationship. You can choose to stay in one. You can have a husband that's an alcoholic. He's on drugs. He's rude to you. You don't have to leave him. You can choose to leave him. But people think, oh, what if I must leave him and I have to in that because I love him? No, there's nowhere that says you have to. That's a large part of our OCD. There's nowhere that says you have to leave him. It's a bonus. It might be better if you left him, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Think about it like it's going to scour for every single thing in your relationship to look for a fault. What if he's miserable? What if he says silly jokes? What if I caught him watching porn? What if ... It's doing that all the time. That is what it's looking for all day long. because it knows you want him, it knows you want your relationship. But what if I don't want him? What if I don't know? It's a bit bland, the sex is a bit bland, I'm not that turned on by it. Well, of course not, because it gets in there before you're aware of it. It's the same as gay OCD. With the gay OCD, people are already, they're starting to think, am I gay? It feels gay, everything feels gay, I'm not even anxious, I must be gay. But it's got in there before you, that's what it does. If it wasn't that bloody convincing, everyone would just go, oh, it's OCD, forget it. But it absolutely gets in there. Puro, can you please talk about this? This is a form of, all of these are forms of OCD that's going on in the head without an outward compulsion. But then there is compulsion because there's all the internal checking, but it's not easy to just suddenly stop that because they go automatically in your head until the fear comes down. So they will keep playing a sort of ruminating thing, but then usually what's happening is you're engaging to some extent, like trying to work out, do I love him? Did I fancy him? When we last had sex, did I like him? Did it feel good? How did it feel compared to my last boyfriend? What if I thought of my last boyfriend as we were having sex? All versions of that. And then what it's going to do is it's going to specifically go to things like, it's going to specifically pick, when it comes to sex and relationship OCD, it will throw in images of your partner. As soon as you're reaching orgasm, it's going to bring in more images of your partner, or it might be bringing an image of your mum or a dog or something like that, or anything that you don't want to see. It's going to do that. That's the nature of how these things work. Can you talk about confession, like feeling you need to confess? You never need to confess, ever. It's because you feel that you're obligated to. It feels like you have to balance out some sort of scales in the sky that weigh how good you are and how bad you are, and it doesn't exist. And you feel like you have to confess to feel content, to protect this inner sort of safety of goodness that you're trying to constantly protect. But you don't need to. There's no obligation to confess. It says you don't need to, and with OCD you'll be bloody confessing all damn day. So forget it. Forget confessing. With ROCD, you'll be going around confessing all day. Sorry about that. How do you feel about it? Do you believe this? Are you okay with that? All day long. And it will just be a non-stop cycle. Okay? So you can't go into confessing. Can't do that. Confessing is a long cycle where it will just be no end of never getting relief. It's a form of reassurance. What about doubting between two people? Should I be with this man or the other man, my fiance? You're not going to know for sure. You're not going to know for sure. There's no should be. It's just up to you. There's no sort of written rule in the sky you should be or anything like that. That's a universal sort of almost religious-like concept. It's up to you whether you like it, whether you do or not. But OCD is going to always tell you to take action, which is like change now. It's always looking for you to change your course of action. You're not going to know with certainty. You've got to roll with uncertainty. As soon as you become more accepting that you could be with the wrong person and you've made peace with that, then it will lift and you'll be able to see it clearly. But that takes a while, because at the moment what you need to do is you need to work on, well, maybe I'm with the wrong person and maybe I'm wasting my time, and that's not the end of the world, because people always think that is. It isn't the end of the world. That's a large part of what you need to make peace with. I will cover all different OCD themes on here. I'm covering R-OCD because it gets asked about so much. I know that POCD needs attention. I know HOCD, harm OCD, all of these, I will do those. But I'm just covering a couple of these different ones at the moment because R-OCD gets so many mentions and it's crucial that I get into it. So that is the core of what's happening with ROCD. There's obviously lots of variants and various angles that attach to this. But that's sort of to give you a sort of a brief understanding of what's going on with ROCD. And on the next Instagram Lives, I'll be going into more detail about these. It's just a brief one today, just because I thought I'd get on here to try and keep these more regular. I hope that's helped those of you with ROCD. These are available on here on the Instagram Live, and then I upload them also to the Facebook. Exactly, endless doubts about which man I should be with. Making with peace with being in the wrong relationship absolutely terrifies me. Well, being in the wrong relationship, why would it be so bad? The only thing that would make it wrong is it's not ideally compatible to you. Okay, you spend time together, you have dinner, you have sex, whatever, you do different things. It wouldn't be that bad a life. It's not like you're on an oxygen mask with some terrible disease, or you're on death row, or in a very violent prison. This is not that bad in the scheme of life. You know, plenty of people, if we went back 50 years, people, 50% probably the population or more, would have been with someone they didn't fancy and just were going along with it because it's the way society functioned. You don't need to know if you're never going to achieve certainty on that. Stop trying to chase if you're in the wrong relationship. Roll with it. See how it goes for now. It's not the end of the world if you're not in a relationship that you don't like. It feels like it. Anxiety makes it feel like it, but realistically, there's nothing to be afraid of. Why is that so scary? It's not that scary. We think it's scary, but it's actually not that scary. I can think of plenty of relationships in my life, not that long relationships, where I wasn't madly, emphatically in love, but I went along with them, and we still had fun at times. It wasn't the end of the world. The world didn't close up around me, and my whole life gets sort of sucked down as we imagine it to feel, like an impending doom. That's how all these fears feel, like our life's literally over in that 1 second. It's not that in reality. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning into this Instagram Live. I will be back on here soon covering another topic. See you guys.